it's so easy to just not be bored. And wouldn't you rather not be bored?
Psilocybin is shown to actually rewire those particular systems in your brain. I personally have 20 years of psychedelic experience on my own.
Welcome to the Venture into Moving podcast with your higgity host, Nate Becker. That's me.
Well, this one feels like a moonwalk away from what I have been talking about with the entrepreneurs. It's all about go, go, go. And with you, I think we're going to slow down and talk about slowing and feeling in a whole different gear than what I've been used to talking about people with. So with no further ado, we got Flow Zeda here with us.
Here I am.
I'm pretty excited. We're here on this beautiful red couch having ourselves a good old time, drinking a sparkling CBD.
Yeah, fancy.
That's as fancy as it gets, right? All right, well, I thought I prepped for you, but I might have read all old information, so we'll go as we go. You'll still doing an unplug and elevate?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, can you kind of explain what that is to me?
Yeah. So the essence of Unplug and Elevate is supporting people to overcome their tech addiction and connect back into their relationships, creativity, and focus.
I can't remember the last time I drew a picture.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Right.
Speaking of just something simple as that, because I used to draw when I was bored,
Right.
and now I don't get bored anymore. It's not.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Boredom is so important for creativity and innovation, actually.
Truth.
Yeah.
And I have to, me personally, I have to schedule boredom because, I mean, it's so easy to just not be bored. And wouldn't you rather not be bored? That's my thought, at least.
But in a way, aren't you more bored?
And
Because you're just consuming.
And self-loathing a little bit too.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
never proud of myself when I'm done scrolling for, oh no.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of my clients talk about the shame element of it.
So that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
To be transparent, I'm pretty ignorant to my own thoughts, feelings, and emotions and self, just in general.
Well, that's good self-awareness.
Yeah, I'm aware that I'm not that self-aware. I see people around me and I'm like, wow, they're very aware of themselves. And I try to, but I also can feel myself intentionally like, I know it's better to not be on the phone, but you know.
Right. If you don't have a real reason why, then it's just why not? Yeah.
Isn't that with all addiction? If you don't have a why?
Right. Purpose is a big part of it.
It feels almost a little weird to call screen addiction an addiction because it's such a new thing. Like
it is. Yeah. Sometimes I use different words like digital overload or screen overuse and things because people are resistant to truly identifying as addiction with those things. But when you really look at what it's doing to our brain chemistry and the level of dependency and the inability people have to actually change their use and habits around it, it actually is addiction. And in a lot of cases, even more of an addiction than substance use.
I found that friends of mine had a harder time before cell phones existed, had a harder time quitting cigarettes than hard drugs because, you know, hard drugs, there was that's hard drugs. You can't just go buy them back in the day.
Right.
With cigarettes, you can buy them anywhere. And I feel like that's the same with the phone. It's hardly even shunned on, and it's just so available and it's in your face. Screens are in your face, period.
Yeah, you know, I make an analogy with cigarettes sometimes as well, where when cigarettes became mainstream in our culture several decades ago, people didn't think that there was any negative consequence to it. And so they just did it all the time. And everyone was doing it everywhere, in restaurants, indoors, with holding your baby. Like nobody knew that there was a negative consequence that would happen.
Well, my grandpa told me that 4 out of 5 doctors smoke more bread. You know, I think that was a legitimate advertisement.
Right. And it's the same thing with the phones, in my opinion, and what I experience in my own self and what I'm seeing culturally, where when this technology has first come out, we didn't think that there was anything negative that would happen. Like, why not just look at your phone, be on your screen? Like, it's just there, it's available, everyone's doing it.
Yeah, it's the
just
world at your
saturated.
fingertips. Why would you not want the
Right.
infinity, the whole library in your hands, right?
Right.
Why would you not want that?
Totally. And they're fabulous tools when we use them in balance. But the science is coming out that these devices actually do change our neurochemistry in really negative ways. You know, the obvious ways, like it shortens our attention span. We lose the ability to do longer form creative things, or even have a lot of people, their relationships are suffering a lot because they don't have the attention span or interest for deep conversations, long conversations, connections, because they're so used to the quick, high intensity dopamine hits that they're getting from their phone, that they're not used to the longer term development of those dopamine and neurochemicals that we get from connection, or from our hobbies, or from meditation, or just like being present and in nature, or things like that, that are actually the healthier ways to get those type of reward chemicals in our systems.
So there's overwhelming evidence that too much screen time is not good and changes the neurochemistry.
Changes our neurochemistry.
Oh, geez.
So it makes it so you can't focus, you can't have the same kind of like deep creative thought processes. It affects your
I feel it.
dopamine reward system, your prefrontal cortex, your
and this is measurable?
Default mode network. It lowers your empathy and ability to actually like feel and connect with other people emotionally. There's just so many negative effects, and the reason that I use psilocybin in my work, legal psychedelic mushrooms.
I was going to get to that, but thanks for jumping in.
Here in Oregon is because psilocybin is shown to actually rewire those particular systems in your brain and reset your neurochemistry.
The actual like roads in our brain for the neurochemicals?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So if, for instance, if we had a bunch of dead ends and cul-de-sacs from all the TikTok or whatever, how could psilocybin change or heal or reconnect these pathways? How does it do it? And who found out that it did this? That's intriguing.
Yeah. I mean, the how, it's one of the beautiful mysteries of how psychedelics actually are able to do that. But scientifically, there's been so many studies now to prove that psilocybin is an incredibly effective treatment for addiction, and for treatment-resistant depression, and for anxiety. Those are the main three. It also really supports grief and PTSD. Those aren't exactly my wheelhouse, but
is it something where, I mean, I think I already know the answer, but someone shouldn't just go take psilocybin and now they're healed? Do they need to take it with a shaman or with some sort of a guide or someone to help them through it with meaning? Or
there's lots of different ways to do it. The way that I do it is in a westernized clinical setting. So I'm fully legally trained and licensed in the state of Oregon, and I work at a legal service center facility.
Oh, really?
And we have a very clear protocol that's based on the scientific studies, and we do it in the way that creates the greatest possibility for long-term results. It's really, people that come to me and to us are very safe, comfortable, and they're guided to go very much inward. And there's an eye mask and there's a playlist, and instead of so just tripping out in the woods or something, you're very much focused on your inner experience, and that is where the highest possibility for healing happens.
So we're not having fun. We're laying. No, we're not like having a bad time, but we've ingested the medicine. We're in a where will we be at? What kind of like a doctor's office
Yeah,
setting?
but it's really like has
Feels weird to
nice
say that.
lighting.
Yeah.
It's an office building,
Okay.
but has really nice lighting. There's lots of plants. There's like cool colors.
Because that matters.
A bed type, not like a sleeping bed, but like a lounge.
Day bed thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm a firm believer in psychedelic therapies for sure. I feel like it's overwhelming evidence that they can be used and are used for good very often. But I feel like it has a lot to do with the setting, and who you're there with, and the intention of the guide. Or what do you call when you're doing that? Are you called a doctor? Facilitator. Okay, because I know there's a name for everything. Okay, yeah. Facilitator. I like that. I like that. So when you're facilitating, does it take a long time for you call them clients? For your clients to become, because it would take a long time for me to feel safe enough with you to be true to myself in that setting.
Right. Well, we do preparatory sessions, so you have time to get to know me. We do a really thorough intake process, and so there's 2 sessions before the actual administration session. And if someone needs more time, then we can meet more often until they're comfortable.
And do you do ibogaine or any other, or is it just a psilocybin-based therapies?
Only psilocybin, yeah.
Gotcha. I've definitely heard a lot of positives in these new emerging, I hate to call it emerging because it's been around since before this.
Right.
But people are coming back to it again. They're seeing it as, especially in Oregon, because this is where we're from right now, and it's legal to once again study and dabble, which has been intriguing. But we've also seen the horrible downsides of reintroducing legalization of the drugs into our general population too, a little bit. I'm intrigued on how we're able to study with it now, but it feels like a bigger study from beyond, because it's how we, the people, kind of handle this new power of venturing into new realms on our own. And some of us take it seriously, and some of us just goof around with it.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's why I really like this legal framework. I personally have 20 years of psychedelic experience on my own, and that's the background that I come into this type of more clinical framework. And one thing I really love about it is it really reduces the chance of harm, because you're saying, if people don't have the right intention or understand how to create setting for themselves, they can have, psychedelic trauma is a real thing. People can become very fragmented and disoriented, dissociated, and have really long-term negative effects.
I mean, that's what my parents told me, right? That's what a lot of our parents said. Don't do that. Your brain's gonna fall into a million pieces or something, right?
Well, there was a whole governmental campaign, the war on drugs, that happened that we're just now starting to dismantle, but that propaganda really influenced the way that generations of people saw these tools. They saw them as really scary and dangerous, and there is an element of danger, but more than likely not. And also, especially if you're being guided by a professional, the outcome is largely therapeutic.
It seems like you're using it as a medicinal tool. Yeah. Which any tool, if used inappropriately, can cause harm.
Right, like cell phones.
All right, back at it. So we're entrepreneurs. I surround myself with a lot of entrepreneurs. My entrepreneurial circle, they go too hard. I'm a part of it. We go too hard. We're grinding. We're hustling. Sleep is for the weak. This macho mentality that I know I'm caught up in right now, I can feel it. And I can feel it wearing at me. So my question is, most folks listening to this are young, just starting out in business, and they are stressed and overworked and in need of advice so they don't burn out. What are some warning signs that they're being overworked and overstressed? And what can they do once they start seeing these warning signs?
Yeah, well, first I want to just share with your audience that I myself experienced very, very extreme burnout from running an online business, to the point where I had to close my business and not work for quite a big amount of time. And I tried to continue to push through that mounting burnout, and I knew I was burning out, but financially was terrified.
Yeah, who's going to help you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But unfortunately, I hit a point of no return, and I could not
Yeah.
continue.
I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm on that precipice all the time.
Yeah.
Just keep on rearing back up to and back off again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But how can someone take action and realize that it's probably going to hurt them if they don't deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, warning signs are chronic exhaustion, depression creeping in, overstimulation, high anxiety, feeling agitated, withdrawing from social situations, spending less time with people that you care about, not engaging with your hobbies as much, not taking time off, or when you are off, you're still on, or you're dissociating essentially. You're not feeling your body and your feelings. You're on a screen in your downtime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like all my friend group has everything you just said. I think they're in there, it's going check, check, check. Unfortunately, I mean, I know when you're making that list, I was checking off everything you said. I'm a little overworked.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's so important to find ways to really create balance, and when you're done with your work for the day, actually be done. Like, put your devices away and feel your feelings, or do some yoga, breathe, go on a walk.
Oh, I'm glad you said those. So one of my mentors told us, and I don't know if it's real or not, but told us to do qigong, I think.
Sure.
And he says if you're feeling stressed out or overworked, take 2 minutes, back up, do this few things on the qigong. I'm kind of not educated on it, but then it gets your blood flowing, it gets your mind right, it gets your breath in, and it can really change your whole outlook. So with that in mind, how important is the breath?
Breath?
Yeah, the breath.
Very important. We have to breathe to stay alive.
Do you in your practice, do you emphasize breath work or different types of breathing?
I do use some breath work. I'm a trained yoga teacher, so I have that also in my toolkit. And part of my work is working in altered states with the psilocybin, but sometimes I don't use psilocybin with people. Like, I have a program coming up that is a 6-week digital wellness coaching plus a 3-day nature retreat, a digital detox retreat.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, and through the 6 weeks and through the retreat, we'll use breath work as part of our toolkit, because it also is, not only does it support stress reduction, balances your nervous system, but it also is a tool that can create neuroplasticity, like a psychedelic can, in a way.
Really?
Where it can help you change your brain states and make your brain more flexible for retaining the habit changes.
I know that for me personally, if I'm overworked and overwhelmed and in the moment and just overstimulated, alcohol, cannabis, or breath work. And I get the same feeling out of all three of those of 1 minute later, I'm back to being like, okay, I can deal with life again. And 2 out of the 3 of those aren't good for you.
Yeah.
And one of those you create yourself and is free. And the other 2 cost money.
True.
So, and I genuinely do, I'm able to feel after maybe even just a minute of intentional breathing and, I don't know, grounding or whatever you want to call it, just being here, I can feel a complete difference in my cortisol amounts. Is that a scientific thing?
For sure. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it can change your brain state very quickly. And then also, there's other types of breath work, which I'm not trained in, but sometimes I bring in a guest facilitator to do like holotropic breath work,
yeah.
which will literally take you into an altered state just with your breath, like a psychedelic type state.
I need to attend a class because I've tried it on my own, trying to follow the Iceman. I forget his name, Wim Hof,
right?
Because he's a holotropic. He's all about it, and I try to follow along, but I feel like I need an actual hands-on guide to show me if my posture is wrong and if I'm breathing from the wrong part of my body. And yeah, that's a fun class. So where do you do those at? Where do you hold the classes at? You said.
Oh, well, for retreats, sometimes I'll bring in guest facilitators
Okay,
to do breath
just
work.
for the retreats. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how will slowing down help me grow my business? A lot of us we're here because we want to grow our businesses. We can't always take a step back all the time. We need to be taking the steps forward intelligently. So, how can the act of actually slowing down help me overall?
Right. Yeah. So I'm going to get a little spiritual with it
Please.
to answer that one, which is the state that you're in and the thoughts that you're having are directly influencing what you're creating and what you're attracting.
Are you saying that we create our own reality?
In a lot of ways. I don't think we're completely in control, but it definitely, what we're putting out, we're getting back from our environment and the connections that we have, and even our clients. And so when you take the time to actually be nourished, grounded, and regulated in your nervous system, and then you're creating from that place and you're connecting with people and putting out content or networking from that place, people can feel that, and there's actually way more of a magnetism and like a likelihood that you're going to make real connections that lead to business growth or new clients if you're in a rested, regulated state than if you're in this like stressed out fight or flight state.
It sounds so obvious when you say it, but it feels so hard to actually do it. Because to me, I think work harder and you'll get to what you want. Work harder and you'll get what you want. But you're saying, yeah, there's time and a place to work hard, but you need to focus on being the magnet, right? Because we invite our own reality. We don't create it. Is that a better way to say it? We invite it, or what? I'm still trying to wrap my head around what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah, we attract what we exude, or we attract what we are.
Yeah.
And so, the more you're rested and regulated and clear-minded, the more real, authentic opportunities that you'll attract into your field, I think. And then there's another aspect where if you slow down and allow your brain to access different states of consciousness other than the hustle and grind state of high cortisol and stress, you're actually able to have higher level thinking and more creativity and innovation.
That makes sense because you're not in fight or flight.
Right. Then you can create better strategies and have new ideas of how you can work smarter, not harder, how you can, implement a new marketing system or
oh my gosh,
things like that.
That makes perfect sense because I'd make a different decision if there was a cheetah chasing me rather than if there's not a cheetah chasing me. And like my animalistic primal brain, and I feel like being in charge of a bunch of guys at work and having customers and this and that, I feel like that's a bunch of cheetahs chasing me all day long. But speaking of that, I had some more questions I didn't quite understand. So can you tell me the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic? The parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. I don't know the difference.
The sympathetic. Oh gosh! Sometimes I forget.
I hit you with it.
It's like fiction and nonfiction.
You're like, which one is?
Sympathetic is when you're activated in your fight or flight type of.
Okay, that's what
chemistry.
It was coming to me when I was saying fight or flight.
Okay. And the parasympathetic is called rest and digest, and you need both.
You have to have both. You need
to be able to switch between both
to
be healthy. But most people are stuck mostly in sympathetic. And that's why even when they have downtime, they can't downregulate.
I know that's me. I'm going on a vacation with my wife. She's having her 40th birthday. We're celebrating. We're going to have fun. But she was worried. She says, the last time we went on vacation, my physical meat sack went on vacation, but my brain did not go on vacation, not even close. It stayed right here in Bend, Oregon doing work. And I was split between two places, so I was nowhere. That's a common, it has to be a common thing, right?
For sure. I mean, are you able to actually take time off, or you have to be connected?
I can take time off. I have set the company up where my wife and we can both go away. We can turn off everything, and we have people in place who can run it, and we know they can run it. But I still am, I feel obligated almost to be turned on. I almost feel like ashamed if I'm just relaxing. If I've got a beer in my hand and my toes in the sand, I almost feel like, did I earn this?
Oh, isn't that what you're working for?
It is. I mean, when you make common sense of it, but I know that. And in my lovely wife, she says, we earn this. Let's enjoy the hammock. And I'm thinking, yeah, I could probably make a company out of selling hammocks right now. Like, shut up, brain.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you can challenge yourself to turn off your phone and be fully disconnected for a certain amount of days.
No, you've already inspired me for it.
Maybe you have, if you really feel like you need to check in, just for your own anxiety about things, have one day that you get back on your phone, check in with your guys, whatever, and then you turn it off again.
Yeah, and it's got to be, I'm sure a lot of your clients are that way. It has to be a weaning off process. Can people go cold turkey? I mean, there has to be, is there some sort of a reaction to it when you put away screens?
Yeah.
Like when you quit smoking cigarettes, you're a jerk.
There's a withdrawal for sure. And that's why when I do retreats, I always have pre and post coaching. I don't just do an isolated experience where people just all of a sudden show up and then put away all their devices.
Put your phones in the bag.
There's a preparation that happens, and it's really important. And then the retreat actually creates long-lasting effects for them because they have had this preparation, and then there's also integration coaching after so that they can keep those changes that they've made in their
Similar
life.
to like a 12-step program or a rehab, almost is what it feels like to me.
It is like a rehab in a way, for sure. It really is. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Well, I was going to ask you about some more things I didn't quite understand, like the vagus nerve. What is that something that you get into at all?
Yeah, vagus nerve is important for nervous system regulation. There's different ways to stimulate it through sounding and movement and breath and things like that.
I was going to ask about a sound
central
bath.
pillar of my work per se, but like you were asking, what happens when people just turn off their device? Yeah, you have to learn how to self-regulate again, because the addiction to the technology and the screens, it's a way to kind of override and dissociate from your natural body's processes. So there is a relearning of kind of how to just be with yourself that has to happen. For some people, that is about learning self-soothing and regulation techniques, like working with the vagus nerve or breath work. I'm a big fan of dancing movement and humming, toning, using
I was going
your
to say,
voice.
because I feel that I'm not an earthy, feely person. But I don't like singing, but I know that when I do sing, I feel better. Like, what the heck is that? It's almost like magic. If I start singing, humming a little tune, I feel better. Even if I don't, I just do.
Yeah. Yeah, the humming,
That's a real thing, huh?
It does, yeah. It regulates your nervous system, and it also gives you dopamine and serotonin in your brain.
Does it trigger and vibrate the vagus nerve? I don't know why I'm so obsessed with that.
It does in a way, yeah.
Okay.
It does, yeah.
All right, sweet. Well, we're almost through. We're both, we got things to do. Can't sit on the red couch all day long.
Sometimes I do.
And that's okay. And that's what we were talking about. And that's what I got to get better at. So can you end with a few tips for people I guess like me, you feel me. I got a nervous energy. You can already tell that I always, like I've shared this, there's a lot that I always feel like I need to be doing. A lot of people who listen to this venture into business podcast, they want to start their own business. They're going to feel obligated to going as hard as they possibly can. But from what you're saying, that's probably not the best way to do it, because it could cause burnout, which could derail the train.
Mm-hmm.
What would you recommend for someone starting their business to do? Some habits they can have so they don't explode themselves.
The best thing you can do is have a lot of discipline around what you do first thing in the morning and right before bed.
No.
I know.
Discipline?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just take a pill?
Yeah, come see me at my office. We don't have pills, but we have tea.
Right? Oh, that's lovely tea. Perfect. Yeah, I would. Wait, so is there? What's the company name? The office name?
Oh, I work at Drop Thesis.
I was going to ask when you were
downtown
saying before.
Bend.
Is it Drop
Yeah.
Thesis? Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to just know before we had just a little bit more. What's it like? People drive by it all the time. It's kind of the talk of the town. Sometimes people are like, hush murmur here, hush murmur there. Have you been kind of hearing those people talking behind your back about the business?
Oh, I'm glad to hear people are talking about
Yeah,
it. That's
people
great.
are talking about it. I think
Yeah.
it's I wouldn't call it polarizing, but they're saying, just to be blunt, you can go do drugs there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you deal with people who want to show up and just be a drug tourist?
Uh-huh.
Does that happen?
Like people coming from out of
I don't know,
state,
just someone
or...
maybe they want to go in there and they don't want to do anything besides just try. Maybe they want to try acid or something, or they want to.
Oh, well, we don't have that.
Well, I'm
We
just saying,
have
like,
mushrooms.
they just want to go there to try the psilocybin.
Sure, they can, but the thing about psilocybin is that when you do it in this therapeutic setting, you're gonna go really deep, and maybe they'll get more than they bargained for, but it's what they need.
You just said good luck. Like, that's pretty much what you said. So my thought, what my parents would say would be, people are just going to want to come to Oregon, so now they can legally try doctor drugs, is what they're going to, even though it's from the nature, is what some people just might say.
Sure, let them come and experience it. It helps. Psilocybin helps everyone, and of all the psychedelics, it connects people to the earth the most, and that is what we need as a species right now more than ever. We're so disconnected from the rhythms of our natural world, and
100%.
There's massive destruction happening on our planet. So the more people that want to come try psilocybin, whatever their initial reason is, it's going to benefit them, and it's going to benefit our world. And that's why there's a growing number of us facilitators that are really dedicated to this work, and we welcome anyone that wants to come, but they'll do it the way that we're trained to do it, and they'll receive it in a therapeutic, medicinal way, and they will experience benefits from it.
I'm going to end it on that, because that's beautiful. You just shut down my whole invented thought about people just wanting to be drug tourists in my head, because I've heard that from behind a couple beers, believe it or not, that people just want to be, they want to, now that Oregon does this, but it sounds like it's purely therapeutic. You guys seem to be very cut and dry about what you're doing here. This is for the benefit of not only you, but for the greater. And I'm a firm believer in what you're doing, and I want to. Can someone come by Drop Thesis and learn more about it, or how's that work?
They can. It's usually locked during the day. The best way would be either actually reach out directly to me. That would be the best.
How would they be able to do that?
They can email me at flowzeda@gmail.com, or they can visit my website, unplugandelevate.com, and that has a lot more information about not only the psilocybin, but the ways that I support people with the digital wellness coaching combined with the psilocybin. There's also information there about the upcoming retreat and group coaching program that's happening. And then if they want to, they can just book a free 30-minute call with me, and we can talk about whatever of those
Oh, wow.
aspects they're interested in.
That's very generous.
Mhm.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
And until next time, venture on, my friends. Any tool, if used inappropriately, can cause harm.
Right, like cell phones.